A church isn't just a building, although it is the name of a building. A church is also the name for a group of Christians that get together and worship, and it is also the name of an organisation that runs all those different groups of Christians. A church is just a group of people that worship, and the church came out from early Christianity when people wanted to get together and talk about Jesus and spread stories about his life, and those people had to meet together initially in secret, and then as time went on they became part of bigger groups which were called churches. Now the church you see behind me is a church that would have been built by the Normans in around about the 1100s, and if you travel around England or any parts of the UK and you can go to really tiny villages where there doesn't seem to be anything else there, and you will find one of these Norman churches, and that's because the Normans used the church as a way of kind of spreading their message to people, and to do that they also brought Christianity to people around England, and they used it as a method of control. Now a lot of the churches that are in England have gradually been kind of rotting away or eroded, or they're unsafe and they're unstable. This one, even though there's been a building here since the 1200s, was rebuilt again in the 1500s, and then there were extra repairs onto this building in the 1800s. It's what we call a Church of England or an Anglican church, and this is the most traditional church building you'll see in the UK. So here behind me you can see Kingsland Church, which is what we call an evangelical church. Very different style of worship to the type of worship you might see in a more traditional Anglican church. And it is super busy here on a Sunday. I don't know if you can see how many cars there are. Loads and loads of cars, literally isn't a single parking space. So really popular church in the area. This is another branch of Christianity. This is a Methodist church, and Methodists were started in around about the 18th century, and it was all about having a personal relationship with God, and about putting that kind of personal relationship with God and that belief in God into action of helping others. And often Methodist churches are in slightly more modern buildings or in Victorian buildings. So this is Pretty Gate Baptist Church, and I've just been inside and asked the pastor if he can let us find out a little bit more about it and the inside of the church. And even though he's pretty much in the middle of a service, he said he will talk to me.
Hiya there.
Hello, Peter.
Good to see you.
Good to see you too. So tell us a little bit about Baptist churches then.
Okay, well, in many ways, we're very similar to lots of other churches. You'll see very familiar things like we sing songs together, we pray, we listen to the Bible being taught. That happens in all kinds of churches, not just Baptist churches. But one of the things that makes Baptist churches quite distinctive, and particularly where we are here, is we have something called believers' baptism. Now, many of you will be aware of what is called christening or infant baptism. In this church, we don't do that. And when a couple have a baby, we will then give thanks for the baby. But here in this church, when a person becomes a Christian, we will then baptize them. But baptism is by immersion. So the pool that you've just been looking at is where we baptize them. We fill that pool with water, usually warm water, and then when a person has become a Christian, we will take them into the water, we will then put them under the water and lift them out of the water. And it's a picture of dying to an old life and beginning a brand new life as a follower of Jesus Christ. So it's very appropriate as a way of symbolising that person has become a Christian, a new person as a follower of Jesus.
Yeah, my name is Martin, and I'm a comer here at Pretty Gate Baptist Church.
Fantastic. And you have recently been baptised, yes?
I was baptised back in, I think it was the summer, wasn't it?
Yeah,
seven or 8 months ago now. Yeah. Been coming here for 4 or 5 years prior to that, and over that 4 or 5 years, just developed my faith, built my understanding of baptism and Christianity and Jesus and who he is and what he did for me. And being baptised was the kind of, almost one of the final pieces of that puzzle. It was a recognition of my faith and my thanks to Jesus, and being part of the church.
And if you don't mind me asking, how old are you?
I'm 46 now, so I was 45 when I was baptised.
And how did it feel when you were baptised?
It was, the water was, although people said it was warm, it was actually quite cool on the day, and I was glad because it was one of the hottest days of the year. It was absolutely roasting, but no, it was a lovely feeling because my brother, who's baptised in this church also, he was actually in the baptism pool with Peter, and so there was 3 of us in there together, and I was the only one being baptised. But yeah, it was quite a really emotional day.
So you felt it, even though it's water, it is a kind of an inner feeling.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah. I mean, the water's symbolic, but it's obviously symbolic of a much greater thing, which is fantastic.
We believe that a baby is not in a position to make that decision for themselves. Of course, they can't do that. Whereas an adult can make that decision. And so we will teach our children, we'd love them and nurture them and point them to the Christian message. And when they're ready and they've made that personal commitment, then they're ready for baptism. And in the Bible, what we see is that the message there, it was taught that a person was to believe and then be baptised, not the other way around.
Hello. Hi, and what's your name?
My name is Lola.
Lola, why did you choose to come to this church?
Okay, so first, this church has got similarities with my church back home,
And where is back home?
Nigeria.
Nigeria. So similar kind of things.
Yeah, similar. We've got hymns. We sing a lot of hymns, and our pastor Peter preaches perfectly. So good. So yeah.
Oh, fantastic! Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Hello.
Hello.
What's your name?
I'm Yehoshua.
And where do you come from?
I'm from Hong Kong.
And why did you choose this church?
Because the style of this church is really close to the style of my church back in home.
What's your name?
Hi, I'm Evelyn.
And how old are you?
I'm 24.
You're 24. You look very young.
Thank you.
And why did you choose this church?
Yeah, I like the style here, and I like the music here, and also I like that it's a smaller church compared to the church at home in Hong Kong. So it's a very different feeling for me to like after the church you can have coffee and tea time, chatting with the people around and they care about you, and we also have student lunch around once a month, so we can have the chance to know each other and chat with each other, and there's a lot of support in the church.
That's so cool. And do you guys all play instruments here, or just some of you?
Just some of us.
And why are you here in England? Are you studying?
Yeah, I'm studying
And what are you studying?
occupational therapy.
Oh, fantastic. Thanks so much for talking to me. Bye.
Thank you.